Hey everyone, and welcome. My name is Tysheda. Today we are going to go the most recent retreat that I was helping facilitate, as well as being the photographer, and the host herself. I'm so excited because this is actually one of the first times I've actually hosted retreats for a lot of founders and owners and companies as well. And I normally so busy with the actual event itself, and the retreat, no matter where the destination is, and making sure everything is great for them and also afterwards, that I actually never did this. Not only took in all the different snaps and the videos to put together for you guys, but also do a full experience behind it as well. So definitely I'm very excited for this. And definitely to bring it to you so you can kind of see it. We were in Marrakech, Morocco. So definitely you're going to kind of get a glimpse into the full experience, meet some of the amazing ladies. But definitely, and for those who don't know me, my name is Tysheda. I'm known as the Signature Global Experiences Architect. I help business owners and founders reconnect with their audience and the clientele through intentional events and retreats worldwide. I help them be able to make their brand visible, and that has to do with having the intentional connections with people personally, having the brand photography to making sure that you are seeing exactly who you are, not being someone you are not supposed to be, not turning into something that you want think people want you to be, but truly glimpsing out what your brand is, what your service is, what your product is, and making that visibility seen to the world. So with that being said, I'm so excited. I'm going to give you a little bit small backstory before I go into taking it back so you guys can see all the amazing experiences that is to come. But yeah, so flew in to Marrakesh. Depending on where you're coming from, a lot of airports, it will be a connecting if you're coming from the States, if you're coming directly into the Marrakesh airport. Um, However, otherwise, if you're coming from some of the European countries or some of the other places, you could probably can get direct flights that go into there. It isn't too bad if you're coming from like a European country. From the States, it's going to be a connecting. I always tell people make sure with your connecting, you allow enough time, whether that's enough time to get to your gate, enough time to go back through customs, enough time to go back through TSA, you name it. Just make sure you're not like some of them, they have it. And I never really understand why they create them, but they do have them where they're like under an hour, even under an hour and 15 minutes. You're kind of pushing it because you just have no idea. Again, for myself and with all of my clients, I don't do that because honestly, I wouldn't do it for myself or anyone else on my team. So I definitely wouldn't want you to be in that same boat. So coming in, it was very nice. We had transportation service that was arranged, picking us up from the airport, taking there. I did get in a little bit earlier to finish up putting everything together for the retreat. The retreat itself was hosted at this amazing villa. It definitely, the host herself, she is very intentional in making sure that these spaces are meant for exactly what the purpose of this particular retreat is for. And that is being able to be disconnected from the hustle and the bustle and the noise, but also you're not too far away so that you can still experience the culture. Because the one thing I tell people all the time with a lot of the retreats, it's very important to gain what your reasoning behind it. So whether you're going with your audience, your clients, whether you're going with your supporters, making sure the intention of the retreat, the space holds that. And once we find out where that space that it holds, then you also want to make sure that you're doing something that only not only connects with your audience, but also connects with the location that you are. You can't go to a whole nother country and never see the country. So this retreat was so amazing. You are going to see all of the good stuff that we did day by day, all of the ins and outs, you name it, it's going to be there. And on that note, let's dive in. Don't forget to like and subscribe just so you can see all the different things that we'll be having coming along. We do have pretty much the main mission for this channel is not only to experience destinations worldwide, to find ways to connect with other people, network, see all the different entrepreneurs and business owners that are doing some remarkable things in their industry, and truly supporting, motivating, and being there for one another, but also being able to bring to light that the world is so much bigger than the internet and social media, that really getting in the room, really being in locations and areas where you're able to connect with people, see them, hang out with them, do that. It not only does a lot for just personal experiences, but you also realize your well-being and your wellness and your mental level all comes to a really good even pace, because it's something that sometimes you're so busy with the hustle and bustle, you lose sight of. And that's what's important. So, on that note, come with me and let's dive into all this amazing retreat in Marrakech, Morocco. So let's get to it. So I flew Royal Air Morocco, which service was phenomenal, hands down, recommend them always. The food actually wasn't bad either, or still kind of give you that Moroccan flavor. And 9 times out of 10, when I go out the country, I always have my tea. And honestly, this tea was on point. I was so excited. I felt like a kid in a candy store. And the perfect thing about it is I also had nobody next to me. So I had literally like my section, like all to myself. Now, the rest of the plane was completely full, but I wasn't complaining. So we arrived into Marrakech, which was really nice. I had a driver that picked me up from the airport, took me to the villa. This room was mine. It was amazing. All the rooms were gorgeous. And all of them had balconies, which hello. And they had sitting areas. Honestly, this is everything. Now, obviously coming in, it was a little bit cloudier. So the pictures that I will show you will be the outside, but you'll see better clear ones later on. This was like the lounge area that they had. They had 2 of these inside the villa, and then they had a huge dining room area, just so that if you wanted to like sit there and hang out, but you also could sit there and reflect. And the couches are actually really comfortable. This was the outside area. They had a pool, had like a little gazebo area. And then we got to it to get everything together for preparation. Look at these baskets, baby. They were amazing. Lori did her thing, and we really put it together to make sure everyone turned out like bam. Hello, what? So this was another one of the rooms. Like I said, they were all really nice. They all had everything. You had the bathroom, the bed, you had balconies. So they were really like, your home away from home. These are all the ladies. This is one of the setups that I did for one of the ladies, which this includes a lot of handpicked things that Lori did. There's Tiffany's, there's perfume, there's self-care things that you can truly use. It's not just stuff that you can bring home, but you can actually use it in your everyday life to actually just be able to feel nice and feel refreshed and become a better version of yourself. Now come on to day 1. This is when everyone came to the villa. These are the outside views, baby. Oh my God, look at it. It was so amazing. Just the overall feel. This was the front of the villa. Like when you first walked in. When I tell you it gave you that Moroccan flavor, it sure enough did that. This is when the ladies started coming. They all trickled in at different times depending on their flights. But we all got together. We were still missing one at this time. But we kind of just sat down, caught up, things of that manner. It was really nice just to kind of get acquainted with different people. The place itself, they brought us like appetizers. We had our bubbly drinks. So it was really just nice. And we kind of were just talking about our, saga stories of flying in, because we all kind of had, some people were actually smoother than others, but most of us had some type of craziness that happened. So we were just like, okay. This is later on. We were having dinner. And we were all there, which we were happy. And we were just kind of going over our plans for the week. We were just talking about, just to kind of get a little bit acquainted, and to know that all of these people are in different industries and different pathways and different walks of life, but we were able to really be able to be their support. We actually learned a lot about each other, and also was able to have other people see things that were in us that we may not necessarily have seen ourselves. But it was just really nice. The place itself, they pretty much supplied with any of the meals that we had there. Anytime we wanted any teas, anything that we wanted, they were actually on site. And they also had people who were on site 24/7. So even after like the main staff had happened to go home, if we had any problems or anything like that, they always had somebody that was on there, which was really nice. So it wasn't just kind of like, okay, you were left on your own. Like we were in like the main villa. However, they had their own area really close by that was still on site, so that we were able to use their services. And then it was really nice because at nighttime, the pool area outside actually lights up. So it's really nice to just kind of like sit out there, reflect. And this tea, I had this every day. It was amazing. It was from Moroccan mint tea. You name it, I had it. Day 2, we started more on our personal development. We kind of did a lot of mindset, things of that manner. But when I tell you, it was very where you were able to dive deep, be comfortable, and really be vulnerable. And that's what Lori really kind of honed in, because again, you can't really, if you're not using the right techniques and doing the right things for yourself, it's really hard for you to be able to pour that into your business, into your work, and also into your clients as well, because you want to be able to succeed. You want to be able to be you want to be able to be successful, but you also want to do it in the right way. You don't want to lose yourself or be able to try to pour from an empty cup, because that really doesn't get you anywhere. So during this time, we did a lot of that. We had early mornings, late nights, but they were all definitely truly worth it at the end. And it was just really nice because a lot of these spaces were very big, but it gave us the chance to really connect, and it gave us the chance and the space to really work on what was important and also have a good time. This was on our way to the gardens, which were amazing. It was really nice. They had different, like, I would say color schemes in certain places, which you'll see a little bit later on. But this was really nice in terms of just walking around. And a lot of these things were kind of based off of how you felt. Like if you wanted to go, you could, but you weren't locked into it. So these are just some of the ladies. Weather-wise was amazing. The sun was out. We definitely took full advantage of all of it and really just took time to like walk around, see things that you've never seen before. Cause I always say that you want to experience the culture, but also you want to be able to enjoy life. You want to laugh, make the most out of it. Then we went over to the museum. Not too many pictures of this just because we weren't able to take photos inside, but this museum showcased a lot of his designer fashion work as well as some photography. So definitely, if you're into it, I would recommend that you definitely don't want to miss it. Now we took our journey walking over to our Medina Street food tour, which this honestly was a highly recommend. I typically normally, even when it's my clients or anything, I always recommend having some type of food tour where you are, because there are a lot of places you probably would never experience if you don't actually do this. We went to, I want to say, somewhere between, I feel like we had like about 6 to like 8 different types of things, whether it was a drink or whether it was food or whether it was something, but everything was amazing. And a lot of it were places probably we would have never ever experienced on our own, because there are a lot of like the local spots or spots that's like hidden gems that if you don't realize it, you will miss it. But hands down, 10 out of 10. And let's bring it to our day 3. These are the ones from the outside during the daylight when it was really nice outside. And if you see a lot of times the ladies took this time to like go out there. There's a lot of areas where you can journal, where you can reflect. And this is kind of like when I said, when you're doing different retreats or if you're doing different things, the spaces are very intentional because you want to, especially if it's a long time, you want to make sure you have that equal balance. Breakfast, the place did an amazing job. They always had a spread out for breakfast. And then when it was time for lunch, the chef always made sure that each day we always had something that was good to the culture, but also that was different at the same time. We always, had our working with our training in the morning. And then some days we actually did full days of it, just depending on what we're going into and what we're learning for those dates. We did a lot of like deep dive meditation, a lot of like self-work at the same time. And everything was led by Lori Granito. Definitely just to make sure that we took the spaces, but we did them in the right times and also the right places, because sometimes if you're going all over the place or if you're not being intentional with it, it doesn't really serve the purpose for you at the end. So then we got ready and we went for dinner out at Sabi Sabi, which is actually a Moroccan restaurant that is woman owned. Amazing food, amazing ambiance. I highly recommend, 10 out of 10. Then for day 4, we got into it. We had business training in the morning, and then in the later afternoon, actually, is when we took our drive over to, we made a little stop at a pit stop, like kind of like a store-ish, where they make different oils and different things of that manner to really be able to bring back, and a lot of it is handmade. And then we went over to our desert and camel ride before the dinner sunset show. So some of us did do the camel ride, and these views were so amazing. So prior to actually going on the camel ride, they had like a really nice sunset, so we were able to take some photos, really just walk around because it was very big, so you didn't really have to feel like, you were around like a whole lot of people, but you were also able to make the most out of it. So these are some of the ladies and their gorgeousness prior to us getting on these camels. So let me tell you, so if you ever never rode a camel before, a lot of them, these are like, they almost have to like go down like 3 levels before you can even get on them. So, but we had an amazing view. Actually, this was like the perfect time we could have done it because it was like sunsetting while we were on there. And the guide that was actually directing us, he did a phenomenal with getting the views of us, even getting in at the right angles. We were like, okay, you've done this quite a few times. And definitely once you're up there, you were up there. Like if you look down, you're like, this is not something we're like, oh, I can just jump down. No, but look at those views. They're so nice. And it was just it was kind of like one of those things where you really can reflect on so much without even thinking about it. Then we went into our show, which they had a different variations of different music that they were playing, different dances, things of that manner. They got people out of the audience to dance. This lady, her family was going up there. She wasn't sure if she was going to go there, so we was like, you got this. And look at that, her having the time of her life. She was so sweet. And it was just really like nice. And then we went into dinner, which they had an amazing spread. And honestly, the food was there and then it was gone at the same time. So definitely amazing. Then we had a fire show after dinner, which this guy, he was amazing. And it was just the techniques of how they did things, and it was just the full show. It's kind of like when you watch a show and you're like, wow, like, what am I watching? But I'm also still watching this because this is pretty amazing. And when I tell you he did his thing, he did it tenfold. With this entire experience, I would recommend, because this truly gives you the full overall experience of what is there to come. So then we're on to day 5. So this day, we really dived in. We had a lot of one-on-one. We went over our strategy, not just for the end of the year, but also for next year as well. So we really kind of like dived in. These are some of the ladies that have pictures by the pool. They were so gorgeous. We had quite a few birthdays we were celebrating as well while we were there. So obviously you can't have sisterhood without celebrating a really special occasion and making sure that they're acknowledged, because birthdays are important. Like, I don't really understand the concept of not celebrating. I don't care how old you get. It's another year of life. You need to be celebrated. So that's exactly what we did. So as this villa always had amazing service, they had a little bit of like a birthday celebration with the cake. And look at that. Just look at it. It's so good. They had different flavors. So it was kind of like, whether you wanted more of like the vanilla side or the chocolate side, you were there. And obviously we had our bubblies, because hello. And then going over to our last day, this is like a bittersweet, because, we definitely had a whole experience. And there is Lori looking gorgeous and all the ladies sitting out there as we're just taking our morning reflection and truly just being able to talk about so much of what we've done, so much about what we're building, and so much of just trying to take the time that you don't normally get to take when you're home and when you're busy and when you're doing things day in and day out. So it was really nice to be able to take that time. And because outside, it was like you could hear the wind from the trees, as well as like the sounds, but you were able to really like hone in on it and make things really feel special. And we really just honestly And be honest with you, you would think that we've known each other our whole lives, honestly, because the amount of bond that we had at the end was priceless, to be honest with you, and how much we also have grown, not just for each other, but even with our businesses. So here we did a lot of our last working on our companies, our business, doing a lot of our like action plan, like not just of like, oh, this is what we're, no, it's like, how are we getting to where we want to get and what are we working on the moment when we get back? That's literally exactly what we did. So we worked on that. We tried to like hone in, and because the best part about doing a very intimate retreat is because you're able to be able to get your questions answered, being able to have action behind it, and don't feel like you're getting lost in everyone else that's there. Before we head out to our spa day, so the villa arranged for our driver to come to the villa to pick us up, to drop us off right by where the Riyadh is, where we were going to go for our massages. So we were kind of walked along the towns. We were able to kind of really do some like daytime like sightseeing, because the majority of the time we're like working during the day. So we were able to really see that. And this is the Riyadh. Honestly, it was gorgeous. It was very, very nice. And those are all the ladies. And this is the view from there, like almost kind of like a rooftop where they had like a lot of like scenic areas. They have flowers, and this was like the main lobby area of it. And definitely you can really see how much detail they put into the work, the everything that they put into it. And it was just really nice. And then after we had our massages, which honestly, hands down, was very much needed, and didn't even realize how much it was needed until I experienced it. I was like, wow, this was amazing. Like, I need more of this in my life. So then in the evening, they had the table set up for us. Now, mind you, we actually had this entire Riyadh was actually private just for us. So the whole place was just us and our crew. So it wasn't like you seen people coming through XYZ. Nope, it was just ours. So before they had the table set up, that's where we're going to be having dinner at. And they had traditional Moroccan music that was also playing while we were sitting down as well. So this is kind of like this is kind of like the front overview. And then I'm going to show you in a few, what it is on the other side. They had the table set up really gorgeous, actually. And then, that's Britta. She's amazing. And then they had like the actual live entertainment, which was really nice. They were doing their traditional Moroccan music. Then they had these guys come out, and they had the dancers, and just really immersing ourselves into the folk culture that you really couldn't have asked for anything. And it was really just amazing to see the music, to see the energy level, just to experience that. And it's something that's really, I recommend like 10 out of 10, 100%. And even if it's not this Riyadh that you go to, just go to something that you can really experience. They have a lot of different options that you can truly see. This is the food. When I tell you they fed us like we were an army. And I was over here just like, I was like, and we were always like, this is all for us. Like, is other people joining us? Because it was always a lot. And this is the girl. She's like the sweetest ever. And we were like, after we ate, we were like, oh, okay. You know how you're like, she's like, nope, we're coming for part two. We're like, oh, okay, sure. We're like, let's get into this, Moroccan flavor. So everyone was having such a great time. And truly, this was like the best evening to kind of like cap it up. And again, we had to celebrate our girlies' birthdays. We had two of them we were celebrating this night. And celebrations are meant to be celebrated. And at the end, our beautiful coach, we were able to put our music on and jam. There she is, and I was jamming with her. And then she really gave us our nice, like, closing out words just to kind of wrap it all up. And until next time, talk to y'all soon.
Just do amazingly. So thank you. Congratulations to you all. And to the next one.
Oof. Wow. Now, can someone tell me that was not one of the most amazing experiences? Um, and I don't think I mentioned this before, but this was one of the very rare occasions where I not only was helping out with the actual retreat itself, but I also was actually attendee in the retreat. And it was very powerful. It was very powerful, not only on a personal development level, but also on a business level. Sometimes you don't realize when you're so busy with everyday, day in and day out, that you have to pour into yourself so that you can make sure that you show up as the best person. And believe me, after everything we just seen there, let me tell you, you definitely want to make sure that you are reaching out. Now, a lot of her retreats are by invite only, but if you reach out and you talk, you can find out like what different spaces that she has. Because the ideal of it is these are very intentional spaces. Like she not only is by invitation because each and every person that is selected and that goes on these things, it's for a purpose. And it's for because what they are doing, what they are curating, what they're trying to put out there is bigger than even the vision they even say. So on that note, I definitely can't wait for you to stay tuned to the next video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Just for so you can kind of get a glimpse of it. The retreat was in September 2025. So just to kind of give you an idea when you're looking at the weather and time frame, things of that manner, that's exactly what it is. But until next time, guys, it was a pleasure. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.